right, before we start, we do have a new person here. Joel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Joel Montilla. I'm an attorney. Grew up in and around Orange County. Graduated from UCF in 2008. I've just been active in the conversations as it relates to water quality and quantity. And I'm looking forward to helping out in any way that I can as it relates to that aspect of the environmental issues.
Okay. Excellent.
Yes.
And
It's good to have you on board.
We also have another new member, LaRae Williams. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is LaRae Williams, and I'm a retired Orange County teacher. I taught science, and I'm happily retired and just looking for ways to be an environmental advocate in our county and the state and everywhere. So feel like possibly this might be an avenue to do that.
Oh, okay. There we go. There's the.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
you.
you. Excellent. Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have everyone. We need everyone to help to make this happen. It's
Okay. I think now we're ready for roll call.
okay. All right. Kelly's is ill right now, so I'll be running the meeting tonight. This is Eugene. So do a roll call. I don't have the names before me, so
I got it, Eugene.
okay.
Okay. Austin Valley. Oh, please say present when I call your name. Austin Valley. He told me he'd be in late. Denise Lewis. Karen Simasek.
Here.
Eugene Staccardo.
Present.
Dr. Kelly couldn't join us tonight. Janet Hamel. Luis Olguin.
Here.
Anna Pepper.
Here.
Keith Constantine.
Present.
LaRae Williams.
Here.
Gordon Spears.
Here.
Joel Montilla.
Present.
Perfect. And did I miss anyone? Okay. Considering that we have had a few members drop off in the last month, we do have a quorum tonight. So, Eugene, you can go ahead and call us to order.
Okay, can you put the minutes up, please? Let's see.
You want the minutes up?
I'm sorry, the agenda.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry. Okay, first order is called the order of the meeting. Is there, for public comment, is there any comments people would like to make?
We don't have any members of the public in
Okay, no
attendance
members of
that
public.
I am aware
Okay.
of.
And then, has everyone taken a look at the minutes to approve? So if there's any problems, so I'll call for the approval of the minutes, a motion, and looking for a second.
A second, Heath Constantine, second the motion.
Okay. And do we have a approval? Say yay.
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 Yeah.
Anyone nays? Nope. It's a 100%. Trying. Okay, and report from the work groups. The first group tonight is going to be the Econ Working Group. Heath, do you want to
Oh,
go?
Eugene, sorry, number 5, any considerations of additions to the agenda?
Okay, can you blow that up a little bit? Because can you? Okay, okay. I'd like to bring a addition tonight of entertain, it's a short-term thing. It's this helping draw maps for the redistricting effort that's coming up. It's going to be for about, correct me, Emily, about a month and a half of work through December. So I'm looking for if anyone would like to volunteer to be part of a work group to look at the mapping software that the county has. It's a GIS package to help Dr. Kelly. She's on the board, so she's going to need support on help draw the districts. So that would be something I would like to add to this agenda, and we can discuss it at some point during the agenda at the end, I guess. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion approve?
Yeah, I'd like to have a motion to add the agenda of redistricting map committee to be short-term formed. So I'd like to have a call for a second on that. It's a bad motion, but
I'll second it.
okay. Do we have yays?
Yay.
Yay.
Okay. Any nays? Okay, so that's on the agenda. We'll talk about that, I guess, at the end, Gabe?
Sure. We can do it after the work group leader reports.
Okay. All right. Heath, let's move into the Econ Working Group. Do you want to give a summary of what we did last month?
Sure. My name's Heath Constantine, and I'm the co-chair of that group, along with Luis. It's for what the name of our group is, the Little Econ River Group. And we've held 2 meetings since we formed the group, one on September 2nd and the other on September 15th. At the September 2nd meeting, we discussed what our goal is to acquire some properties. And we discussed different properties in the Rebold Ranch area and surrounding the Rebold Ranch properties. We talked about what makes the lands worth saving, how do we identify the properties, and we even planned a field trip to the area. At the 9:15 meeting, we viewed maps of the properties, we discussed ownership, and identified properties that would be ideal for preservation. So where are we now? We have identified favorable characteristics, and what those characteristics are, and not limited to, would be contiguous to conservation properties. In other words, they're already attached to properties that are designated for conservation. They need to border McCulloch Road. They would have animals living on the properties, and we would confirm, like for example, or bears are living on the properties, that would be backed by a UCF scientific study. Additionally, the property would, if it's maintained as conservation property, it would result in less pressure on surrounding communities, with traffic and everything associated with adding more people to an area, increased stress. So if you have a conservation property, it should not add stress. So the next steps, what we have to do is complete paperwork that Emily provided to us. And I think we have listed on here, think of a clever name for the project, but I think we have that now. Little Econ River Work Group. I don't know, maybe we'll have a different name for the project. So we formed an ecological subcommittee, and Anna is going to attend a Florida Forever workshop to learn what we need to complete the paperwork for Emily so we can better position that paperwork. She's going to identify pertinent facts, and we'll have arguments to complete the paperwork. And just to reiterate, we have a scheduled field trip on October 3rd, and that's where we're going to meet up and discuss this. And Anna is going to be there, and we're going to discuss what she learned at Florida Forever, and probably have a coffee at that meeting and talk about that. Does anybody that participated in this group have anything to add? Because I did have 15 minutes to speak, and I think I've taken about 4.
I just want to clarify that the Florida Forever webinar tomorrow, I'll learn what the state requires for an application for Florida Forever property. It's not really learning what Emily wants, it's learning what FDP wants. Just clarifying that.
Okay. Are those not I thought those had the possibility to be transferable.
No, FDP is going to get whatever they ask for, and
Okay.
exactly the way they want it, and that's the only way they work. I do know that much already.
Okay.
Emily needs different documents so that when she goes to her compatriots on the commission, she needs to have a different set of documents. The application for Florida Forever may be an attachment to them, but it is a distinctly unique document.
All right. I thought we would be able to use some of the elements that you took away from that class in this project.
Well,
And we are. It'll be an attachment to Emily's documents, but the Florida Forever application itself to FDP,
Okay.
that's what is being discussed tomorrow.
yeah.
How does anyone, any county, apply to FDP for Florida Forever project? Now, when Emily takes our group's information to her fellow commissioners, she has a certain format she wants our work to be in. The application for Florida Forever will be one document in that set of documents Emily wants to present to the commission. Correct, Emily?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Yeah, but part of this is Eugene. Part of the effort of the Florida Forever, why Anna's attend that, is to learn, can they be helping us if we go forward proposing to buy this property? We're looking at part of the effort of our committee is to figure out the money part of it. So we got to figure out, the county has money, the state has money, and is it going to come from DEP, come from St. John's? So the more people that we can get playing into this and diversifying the money base, it helps make the money go farther. We get, meaning from a green place point of view, the money will be whatever is offered, and if it falls within what is allowed, then we can play. But if they want some outrageous amount, then obviously we can't do anything. But this is an effort to be able to give us more options to present to Emily to carry forward to the green place and the rest of the BCC ultimately on options that they can approach. Maybe we can get a third of the money from DEP, a third from St. John, and a third from the county. That would be a dream to do that, so we can take a. So
Eugene, I have a question. How do they, when you say do they sign a document and be like, hey, we would agree to pay this much? How does that usually work for them actually putting up dollars, them saying it and them actually doing it? Is there something that, they say, oh yeah, we're going to put this in the budget or something, or do we have a budget for them? Can they give us hey, if they agree, we would pay it?
yeah, that's one of the things I need to find out tomorrow. I'm hoping I'm going to join that. I've joined that on the 30th, which is tomorrow, I guess, to be part of that conversation. And hopefully that question will be answered tomorrow on how we go about, because I've never done this either. Gordon, have you ever done anything like this? Have you been
No, I
involved?
never have, but I would imagine they have some very specific criteria of what they're looking for as far as properties that would make good conservation additions to the state's collection of conservation lands. And so I would hope that they do, because the state should be making sure that the money that they spend is well spent.
Yeah.
I've already prepared a grant for FDP for a different funding source for the recreational trails program, the RTP program. I've already prepared a grant application for the city of Winter Park to restore the boardwalk at Mead Gardens. That was $300,000, and they're going to get that in November.
Oh, good.
So I kind of already, I know how FDP works in general, and that's why I say that attending that event tomorrow is so important, because the one thing that's consistent about FDP is they want these forms this way, exactly, period, or you don't get the money. So tomorrow's webinar, I'm expecting to learn just as how exactly they want it. In order for part of our funding source for this property to come from the state, we need to jump through whatever hoops they want to do that. And then on the county side, there's a green place budget already for 100 million that part of which we hope will cover our project. I'm going to be applying to the Green Place Advisory Board, so I hope that perhaps can help. But I'm sure for that we already circulated amongst our group, Emily, the information from Jeff Benavides about what is required to apply to recommend a location as a green place. So we'll be jumping through those hoops as well. And there's probably similar bullet items in both of those applications. That's where tomorrow we'll find out which ones correspond to green place initiatives and which ones are unique. And then whatever paperwork they want, whatever proof from biologists, whatever criteria it is, we'll gather what we can to increase the chances of making the state and the green place budgets part of the money that buys this property.
So I've seen the updated Green Place document that started back in January, and they've updated, I think in August, you guys have approved. And that has, I think I sent that out to everyone. The criteria on that kind of looks familiar to what the state has looked at, bringing property according to ecological value and other things. There's a few things that the Green Place does about tourism and stuff, which is different, I think.
Yeah, that was helpful, Eugene.
So, okay, so you do have that. Okay. Now, let me ask Anna, are you going to apply as a professional or a conservationist? Because there's different positions for Green Place. Do you know which one you're going to?
The last communication I had with Jeff Benavides said that they didn't have in the advisory board list, it wasn't up on the website yet. So
Okay.
because of that, I'm not sure what's available.
There's
I
seven
don't
positions.
know which position, you know, I know there's bullet items that they want that advisory board to be comprised of X, Y, and Z, but I don't know what those bullet items are. And that's sort of why I haven't quite clicked apply yet, because I want to pick the right one, and I still don't know what those bullets are.
Yeah, because
Is it up there, Eugene? It has been a week or so since I looked, but
Well,
the last
yes,
time it wasn't listed along with the other advisory boards yet.
no, it was just approved yesterday on Tuesday from the BCC. And according to the newspaper, there were 7 positions. And I'm trying to rip through the article right now looking for it, but somewhere in there describes the different positions. I can't remember where that.
Okay, I'll find it. I didn't know that I knew yesterday they approved the first green place location, but I didn't know that they had done anything on the advisory board stuff yet. So I'll find that information.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure.
I have, sorry to interrupt. I have the information on the Green Place Advisory Board membership. because,
Okay, you could
like,
share that
it's
with me. That would be great. I intend to apply to that board, but I want to make sure to craft my application correctly, and I kind of don't have any boundaries right now.
But Anna, you're kind of unique because you can come in as, I think, Gabe, can you name out the different positions? Because they have them spelled out and who, there's environmental, but there's also professional. Okay, this,
so it's one verified member of a recognized environmental conservation organization, agricultural interest representatives, no more than 2 members, academic or educational reps, no more than 2 members, and at-large reps, no more than 2 members.
so Anna, which one would you think you want to apply for?
I'm a member of Florida Native Plant Society. I would think if I was going to apply, though, in that capacity, I need to clear that with them, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise, the at-large ones are bound, that's easy.
are you academic or educational?
No,
No.
I'm just a working engineer.
Yeah, I'm a
So-
retired guy.
So do we have anybody to apply for the agricultural
Interest.
interest? Because it seems to me like if we can fill that one with a person of our choosing, means
That would be important, Gordon. That's really
we can't
important.
really, if we can get that seat filled with a person of our choosing, that means that it's not going to be available to somebody who is going to stand in the way of this plan.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know a farmer, though.
You probably look for someone maybe with fleet farming. I mean, they're agricultural.
I just don't know any farmers.
Yeah, like fleet farming is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Perry or someone in like that group, not Lee can't do it, but someone within her group, but she's a staff member.
Mhm.
But someone,
Or maybe there's some organic farm that we know about.
What
That's
about
in
native
District
nursery?
5. There's lots of agricultural land in District 5, but I don't know if it's mostly managed in a very industrial way, or if we could find any
Dave,
farmers that are more interested in regenerative agriculture or conservation or anything like that.
what about David Dryly, Gordon?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Yes, that's perfect.
David Dryly
Because
has
he
been
fits,
involved
he
with
fits he fits that criteria. He's an agricultural
He's a-
business, but he's also conservationist, so he'd be perfect for that.
So does anyone have a contact with David? That would be a very good person to reach out to. Emily, can you reach out to David? Or you want us to reach out? I'll call David.
What's his last name?
Huh? David Dryly. In fact, when you walk out the building of the BCC, look to the left. There's a tree has a bronze plaque to him.
Hmm.
So he's been involved with the county for 40 years.
Do these people, I would think that these people don't have to be from District 5, they could be from anywhere within the county, is that right?
Yeah, but he's definitely District 5. He lives off of Taylor Creek Road.
Yeah, he's up by Fort Christmas, sort of, isn't he?
Yeah, he's right
That's
down.
that's where his business is.
His house is on the property too.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, he
didn't know
lives
that.
on the property. So, yeah, David lives there. That would be, David, if you want me to reach out, or Emily, if you want to reach out, or have Gabriel we can talk afterwards maybe. But I think that would be we need to jump on it because we don't want certain people to be on that. We know
Exactly.
it would be bad.
Well, we would prefer people that are conservation minded and are not industrial farmers.
Yeah. I might,
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
on-
get that information to Gabriel and then we can reach out and ask them to apply.
okay.
And Little Econ River Work Group, if that was it, just reminder that we have the UCF Corridor Work Group leader still has to report.
I'm gonna forward you, Gabriel, his information. I think it's up to date, but you can give him a call.
Sure thing.
Okay, the next group is gonna be the corridor, to speak on what they've done. Do we have representatives from that?
Hey everybody, this is Austin Valley here to represent from that. Unfortunately, Kelly's not here today, so I'll be hold down for both of us to report out here. Cool. So Gabe, I see you've got document up. I can walk through that meeting, or I can walk through the project plan, the project brief, or whichever way you'd like me to do it.
Up to you. Up to you.
Let me. I have share privileges.
Do you have sharing privileges?
Yeah, I should. Let me just.
Okay.
So just to orient the group to, can y'all see my screen here? Is that good? Cool. So just to orient the group to hear what exactly we're trying to do. And let me go first actually to, okay. All right, start here with our project plan. So just to orient the group to what we're trying to do, this work came up in response to a number of, as I understand, community meetings that were held, and a lot of feedback from constituents in East Orange County is that student growth and traffic continues to sprawl further and further away from UCF campus. It's caused lots of issues with congestion in that area, quality of life for the students, and again, housing continuing to spread further and further away from campus. And so what the conceit of this idea is to identify what we're calling here a UCF corridor overlay, which is going to outline a specific, call it sort of neighborhood or area within the UCF campus, or excuse me, just outside of campus, that we would be able to practice what's called here in the project plan and project brief vertical growth rather than horizontal growth, right? We want to build up rather than building out. Very basic tenant and smart growth, and applied here in the UCF area. A couple of reasons why this is actually a great place to do something like this. One, there is space right now that is just outside of UCF campus. We're primarily talking here the Alafaya and UCF intersection here that is full of parking lots and strip malls, right? It's sort of primed to think about this area differently. And two, as we think about walkability in Central Florida, basically non-existent for a lot of reasons. And as we think about who is a prime set of residents, of people to live in a walkable area, not need a car, college students. College students do this all across the United States every single day at universities in Florida as well, outside of Florida, definitely Northeast, outside of the world, forget about it. This is what they do all the time. And so as we think about where to implement something like this and pull students into an area so they can live, play, work, go to school, all right there, it's actually a really nice opportunity to think about something like that. And so that's what this is, just at a high level. So as we think about our goals and success metrics as we laid out, we identified, Kelly and I identified a few. Kelly and I have met twice, 3 times if you count our previous advisory council meeting where we had the breakout groups. And these are the success metrics that we identified. One is within this corridor, which is yet to be defined, and I'll talk through how we're thinking about working through to define what exactly it should be. One is how many housing units could we fit in that area? How many people could we house in that area? 2 is what percent of UCF students is that? So if we say there's about 70,000 UCF students, but for our intents purposes, there's about 50,000 who are full-time students. What percentage, realistically, of those students do we think that we could get to live in a neighborhood like this. For those who aren't familiar with the area, I'm sure most are, but that area, I grew up actually just near that area. It doesn't really have a distinct character to it on the UCF side, the University of Alabama side. It doesn't really have a distinct character to it. So this isn't just how many people live there today, but it's if you gave it a character, if you gave it something there to it, how many people could you induce to live in that area instead? And then, so that puts much more downward pressure on housing sprawled out further east, further south, and certainly keeps congestion out of that area. So anyway, so housing units in there, percentage of students who are living in there, amount of vehicle miles traveled within the corridor overlay. It's something we want to minimize. We want to get that as low as possible, because again, we want to, and this leads into our next one, what percentage of UCS students are using a car weekly? We don't have the data on it. Something we can go to UCF if we want to get the data on it, of how many students have a parking decal. Of course, this only gets you part of the way, but I would estimate 95+% of UCF students probably drive a car on a weekly basis. We can benchmark universities around the country, even around the world if we wanted to. That number is going to be much, much lower, in part because of the built environment around them. And so how can we change that in that area to keep congestion off of streets that's going to affect all the residents? Because now all of a sudden you have 20, 30, 40,000 fewer cars on the roads around there because students don't need it, because they can walk, they can take a bus, they can take a bike. So I keep sort of teasing ahead of myself, but those are the main metrics here. You can sort of bucket them in housing and transit, or housing and transportation. It's how can we fit people in this corridor, and then how can we make sure that they're not driving and causing traffic issues and congestion outside of that area. And another piece of the traffic issue, by the way, is safety. There's been deaths in that area. It's not safe to cross the street to get to your university, and so we want to make sure that we address that with this project as well. So some stakeholders here, like I said, Kelly and myself are driving a lot of this. I know Eugene, Kelly put you down here as idea generation. She said you're a great idea guy. So as we get into some brainstorming, I think it'd be helpful to engage you on that as well. We don't anticipate budget on the project itself. As we think further on how it would actually be implemented, we can talk through with that funding, potentially the sources we need to look at. Could be some grants. A lot of the funding would potentially be with transportation changes. Some of that comes from FDOT, potentially. It could be federal money. There's, at least in the most latest, of course, the timing won't work out, but in the latest infrastructure bill, there's a lot of federal money that goes to complete streets projects like this. The housing piece of it, there really wouldn't need to be funding attached to it other than hours for the planners to update the zoning codes around there. But other than that, it's really private development who'd be building out this housing and mixed use and shopping and retail for the students there, so that housing doesn't spread further and further out. So I won't go through every detail of these milestones, but I think the schedule sort of lays it out well here. So I worked with Kelly to complete the project plan, the timeline. A note here, I know I sent you an email, Gabe. We're keeping them in Google Drive. If we need to put them in ClickUp, that's totally fine. Might need some guidance on how exactly to do that. But for now, everything's uploaded into Google, the shared drive here. We'll continue to do data and research through September and then into October. So now that those documents are finished, we'll start working on our policy making document. I've already started to draft a lot of this. I was on vacation last week, which is when I like to work on stuff like this. So we'll have to edit it down, but I'm on like page 16 now, just typing away. There's a lot that can go into this. So we're going to have a good start on that. One key thing to all this is last month and now into this month, we'll do a stakeholder analysis. This will involve, and it already has involved, interviews with folks who live in or around that area, just personal connections that each of us have. And in particular, the biggest question to define here at this point is how do you define, or the biggest question to ask is how do you define this corridor? What does this mean to put high density walkability in an area? What is the area? How far down University do you go? How far down Alafaya do you go? How far up Alafaya do you go? Essentially is what we're trying to define right now. That will of course need, I think, a lot of input from a lot of stakeholders, but we're going to take a first stab at it and sort of put a stake in the ground. Gordon, I saw you come off mute. Do you have a question? Want to jump in?
Who, me?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I don't have a question. First of all, I just really like this idea. It it fits in really well with Vision 2050. It fits in well with the coming form-based codes. And I think that this is just a really excellent opportunity for Emily to make some contacts with the developer community so that she can get rid of the anti-developer paint that she's been painted with, you know? I think that could really go a long way. And I think the developers are gonna be super surprised when when they learn that Emily and people in District 5 may be supportive of higher density. And, you know, we've been seeing a lot of these, or several of these projects coming through that are within the, what is that office park that's right across just west of the campus?
Quadrangle?
Yeah, the quadrangle. Yeah.
Quadrangle.
So apparently the demand for office space is pretty flat right now, but the demand for housing is hot. And so a lot of these property owners are proposing to put sort of what I would call sort of medium to high density residential in that area. And I think that's what this whole initiative is about, you know. So on very many levels, I really like this idea. So you know, but I do see that the developers and the landowners could be key allies for this. I think that there's going to be a lot of pushback from the residents, and
Yep.
so the whole process of educating the residents and defining it in a way that's not threatening to them, and especially the ones in the rural settlement areas that are actually very close by to this area. I think we have two rural
Yeah.
settlements that are fairly close to
Just west.
UCF. So
The rural enclave and the Rocking Horse.
right, the Rocking Horse and
Road,
what's that?
Rouse Road. There's a
Right. Yeah. So I think those are the two that we really, those are the stakeholder groups that are probably going to be most in opposition, and the developers are going to be the group that's, the developers and large landowners are going to be the ones that are most in favor of it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eugene.
I think actually Emily's in a really good position for this because she's seen currently as a person that wants to protect the environment. So she's in a strong position to come to the landowners who have a rural characteristic. And if we come out with a good design from this committee and then somehow get into and try to sell it, she's a perfect person to sell this because she already is known as a quote anti-development person, but not really. It's just development in the wrong spot.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited, I think, about this because it is the right thing. One of the frustrations I've seen that they painted all of us environmentalists to be anti-growth. I'm super pro-development. It just depends where. If you want to build downtown, or you want to buy my property downtown and put a 60-story building, I'll sell it to you. But the thing that kills me is what's happening down like in Winter Park, and actually in City of Orlando in 1792, you see redevelopment, and it's all low, 2-story, 3-story, 4-story, and it's a shame that we're losing those opportunities, at least for a generation to 2 generations, because once these buildings go in, that's it for at least 1 generation, because you got a mortgage on it. So, like, Mills, Nebraska, current development, I'm really depressed about that because it's a 4-story office building when I thought, and this is kind of what the quadrant it could be, is you still can mix office with apartments. The offices could be the first couple of stories, retail on the first story, and then up on the next 6 to 12 stories, residential, apartments, wherever you want to call them. So it's a from the developer standpoint, they have 3 different sources of income now that they can draw from. And from it's economically, it gives a nice buffer. So retail probably will be okay, but office like right now is flat. But out by UCF, that those 12 stories above the offices probably would be full of students. So it gives that developer a lot of lines of income and insurance against one line going bad, and that's part of the sell job. Our job also, like for the rural district, is get them to give inputs on what they would settle for to be able to, so we could achieve this vision. And of course, most of this stuff that you're talking about will be very close to Alafaya and University. So it won't actually impact them so much because it's not going to go wandering too far back because of walkability issues.
Yeah, that's right.
Walking typically is a 3-minute thing. You got to design everything to 3 to 4 minutes, maximum 10-minute walk. That's a successful environment. And that carries out to car driving too, 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a few things to that. One, it's interesting if you think about it, if you look at unincorporated Orange County, or rather, I'll even really just say anything outside of city of Orlando, probably the most logical place for something like this to happen is actually near UCF campus, because so much of the job cluster is in Orlando. And to your point, Eugene, downtown Orlando has their own issues, and I've got a whole bunch of other work trying to get them to shape up because they're not doing their part, and it's causing these sprawl issues elsewhere. So but UCF is just this engine of mostly under 22-year-olds who, all include research and the policymaking, but more and more don't want to drive a car. They're getting their driver's license later in life than ever before. This is the type of living that they want to do. They're not happy that they have to drive 25 miles down Colonial either. They also want to be there, but we don't provide opportunity. So I think, and I think the initial, at least draft of this will be, I think, probably a little purposely provocative on how intense this is here, right? I don't know that it'll be 65-story buildings, but we'll kind of say, what if, just bear with me, what if in this, it's like a mile down University, a mile down Alafaya, but not the whole rectangle. It almost looks like a T. The corridor is going to look like a T. It's not the whole square rectangular area. What if you just sort of dropped Copenhagen, or you dropped Paris, right there, and you got rid of? Right now, we have parking minimums, right? We force these establishments to put parking. What if we had this overlay where the zoning didn't just get rid of parking minimums, but what if we put parking maximums and said you can house 5,000 students in here, but you can't put 5,000 parking spots because we don't want 5,000 cars here. You can put, I'm totally making up, 500 parking spots here.
That's true.
Because we expect the students, and we're going to have dedicated bus lanes and dedicated bike lanes to have them be able to move around in this area. And I think to the point you both have made is there is a sort of give there is the other side of the coin of saying we're going to make a space so that students don't need to leave, don't want to leave. The other side of that coin is it's now a space where if you're not a student, you don't want to move in, you don't want to go into, or it's difficult to move into, because if you make it easy to move in and move through, you've also made it easy to move out. And so that's going to be, I think, of the rub to some extent. But maybe those residents look at that and say, that's okay, that I don't want to go up in that area anyway, or actually I want to have this, incredible, if I want a night out, right, and I want to go to a place like that, that's right there, but it's totally separate from where I'm at. I think those are some of those questions to engage the stakeholders to figure out. But yeah, I think it's the right audience, it's the right place to try something that's frankly, I mean, if it's there's a way to do it really bold and interesting where, as I was thinking about some of the stakeholders too, there's a way to do it where it's a sort of world-class neighborhood for a university, and it's UCF's best recruitment tool. Is you fly students down and they look at this neighborhood that's unlike anything they could visit outside of major cities. These aren't, like I said, it's not 60-foot towers, but the phrase I like is 4 floors and corner stores, right? Where it's walkable, you live on top, you maybe go up to 8 stories, something like that. But to Eugene, to your point, your internship is there, your grocery store is on the corner. You can get your phone down at the T-Mobile downstairs as well, and it's all right there. And I think too, the other thing I'd add is that, and I did some research on this as well, just to compare it to some others. I think sometimes people in their heads misjudge how small and compact pretty famous compact walkable neighborhoods are. I think about, I lived in DC for a few years. I don't know if you spent time in DC, but Georgetown, the neighborhood Georgetown, is about 1 square mile. That's it. This area would probably be bigger than that. And so you don't need 15 square miles to build a neighborhood where students can just stay and be at and walk to university and live all in the one spot. You don't need a ton of space. You just need the right zoning, the right planning, the right transportation, and the right type of housing. And so anyway, that's sort of, we have a lot of work to define some of those things and to help define what this area is. But yeah, Kelly and I are both really excited about this.
So I mean, I would like to, ask maybe if you need help, maybe if Gordon has some, because Gordon is a planning and zoning expert because he sits on the board. He could be a consultant maybe.
I don't think staff would say that.
Huh?
Staff would never say that.
Well, the procedure.
But you know what, to your point, I think that there are people on staff that should be brought into this conversation because they're the ones that really are going to be tasked with implementing it.
Mhm.
And this is something very similar to what the city of Orlando has been building out with the downtown UCF campus. So there's already a precedent for this right here in Orange County with UCF. And so really, I think that we just need to take these successes that we've had, like the downtown UCF campus and the creative village, because they have significant transit improvements that are part of this as well. And we just need to take these ideas and put them over to the main campus. And I think staff is going to be invaluable in helping this to happen.
Do you think there's any
I think it will happen without staff being on board.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big transitions.
Definitely. I can have staff, just like I had EPD come on to one of our meetings and make a presentation. We could probably have someone from staff from planning and zoning.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I think it fits right in with the transect concept, the form-based code and the transect concepts. It fits in really well with that as well. So I personally think that staff would think this is really an interesting concept. I think the big landowners and the developers will like it. The only ones that probably are not going to, the students will like it. The ones that are not going to like it is the residents of the surrounding neighborhoods. But with the quadrangle being so large, it's possible to maybe to buffer against the neighborhoods. But I think this concept has a lot of pluses and it's definitely worth pursuing.
One of the things when we were talking about the redevelopment of Curry Ford near here where I live downtown, what I try to point out to the residents who had fears about multi-story building right on Curry Ford, and I pointed out, if I put an 8 to 10 story building on Curry Ford, that's a wall against noise going into your neighborhoods. So you try to make a positive out of the negative. So you won't be able to get light and stuff because all that noise is being kept on Curry Ford, just like it's going to be on University and Alafaya. The other exciting thing I see from this is we've been trying to do some type of transit between out there to downtown, and this would be a really cool thing to cause energy to go towards that, because I've always dreamed about a monorail system. Now I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but some type of, right now bus rapid transit probably is the most likely thing to happen, but it gives us in position in long term, probably longer than I'm going to be around for, but someday it's going to be connected between UCF has 30,000 people work in that area. It's a major, and it's a relatively high income area of workers. Unlike tourist industry, these people actually are paid relatively well. So, and it's not declared as a high intensity area right now, but 2050 hopefully will do that. And what we have to do is, once we talk to these planners, create some type of incentive system for the developers that would see a really good benefit for them to do this. Meanwhile, we're going to do some of the upfront work of working with the neighborhoods, trying to sell the concept. So we have some conceptual stuff. So we take care of some of the pain that they would have to go through. So, I mean, the objective is here to save the environment, and the only way we can do it is place people more effectively in a place. And this is what we're trying to do. So it's environmentally the right thing to do.
Yeah, it absolutely.
Hey,
is. But you know, to your point, Eugene, I think it's going to be really important for us to, as we think about how this could be formed, is to not just reach out to planners who have their own viewpoint about high density development, but also to the developers themselves, because they're the ones that understand high density development, nuts and bolts. And there are certain things, like say you can take the thing up to 9 stories, but if you're going to go beyond 10 stories, you have to have this other kind of elevator systems that are more expensive. And the developers know all this stuff. The planners don't know it, and you and I don't know it, but the people that do know it are going to be the architects that are working for these downtown developers, well, we know who they are.
Yeah.
But
I mean, also the other
Sorry, I want to jump in here because I think someone from the call, one of the callers, wanted to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
You could just jump in if you're
I
on.
was gonna say, am I supposed to go out to the breakout session? Because I'm on the little Econ group. I don't know if that happened and I missed it. I feel like we're all talking about.
Yeah,
No, we're still here in the main group. We
okay.
do have our breakout sessions.
Yeah, we need to.
So whenever we need to continue through the agenda so that we can go into our breakout sessions.
Okay, I'm gonna probably move
I
on.
think we're kind of behind schedule, so I don't know if we, if we can get through it, just making sure.
Okay, let me just move this along. And do you have any meetings coming up, Austin, that you want to send out meeting notices to us or something about that?
Yeah, I'll send them out. I've got to get, when Kelly's back on, I'll connect with her and figure out when we should meet next.
Okay, and hopefully we'll have a speaker coming to us from planning, and be interested also about an incentive type system. And I'm not sure who that would be in the county, because right now the impact fees and stuff might be incentivized to create a higher density in those areas. And also, we might have a fire rescue issue out there because they might be giving us a limitation because the fire equipment can't get to a certain level. I don't know. I don't know that area, but I suspect it might be. So I guess, should we break out to the breakout for about a little bit and move on, or?
Did you want to quickly go over the rest of the agenda? I think you had some addition to the agenda on redistricting.
Yeah, redistricting. Okay. What
I
I
think,
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, the other.
The agenda? To quickly go through the redistricting, I know Kelly, she's on the redistricting committee, and I think it would definitely be a great idea for the District 5 Neighborhood Council to be involved on what you want the district borders to be.
Yeah.
I definitely have a couple of ideas. Some ideas have been thrown out there already by one of the members of that council that emailed us a map. So I really think that we're on a tight deadline for that, and helping out with a map that is coming from District 5 citizens would be really helpful.
Yeah. So what I was trying to get to see if there's any interest from on the folks from here to create a couple of us to help support Emily and Kelly on this effort, because it's a really tight schedule. And I'm sure Kelly doesn't have the time to sit down with mapping software. But for myself, if I'm given the objectives of what folks are looking for, I can do it. I can show you if you want the software. I have it up and running right now. I don't know if I can share that. Are you interested in looking at that, or?
I think right now we need to make it through the agenda because there's people waiting
Okay.
for the breakout session.
All right, so next time we get together, well, we'll reach out through email, I guess, Emily, because this has to happen faster than a month.
Yeah,
About,
Gabriel can send out an email to survey the group and see who would like to be on it, and then you guys can go ahead and schedule your work group sessions for that.
okay,
So
yeah,
basically, so in case anyone's wondering, we can have multiple people, or a person could be on multiple work groups.
yeah, and this is gonna be a short and sweet thing for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but we have to be on top of it because these maps are gonna come in. Next Thursday is our first meeting, I believe, to actually start looking at maps. So we should be on top of it like now. So
Right. Sorry to rush us through
move on to the,
agenda, but we could go ahead and Gabriel, is there anything urgent that we really need to cover before we move on to the break?
no, that's
That was
No.
the last thing on the agenda before breakout sessions, and after breakout sessions, I have announcements, but nothing urgent.
Okay,
okay.
so we're all gonna leave this meeting and go into the other one. I could send the emails again real quick.